You eat more than your friends. You eat more than anyone at the table. You count your calories, you hit your protein targets, you train consistently, and you still cannot gain weight. Everyone around you assumes you have an incredible metabolism. Your doctor tells you to just eat more. But a November 2025 paper published in the journal Microorganisms, after reviewing the full body of current science, just confirmed something that changes this entire conversation. The problem for many chronically underweight people is not how much they eat. It is how much of what they eat their gut actually absorbs. The gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive tract, is essential for nutrient absorption, immune function, and overall metabolic health. A balanced microbial community allows for the breakdown of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals into maximally absorbed nutrients. Dysbiosis, microbial imbalance, disrupts these processes and leads to malabsorption, barrier dysfunction, and toxic metabolite production. In plain language, if your gut bacteria are disrupted, food passes through your system without being fully absorbed. You eat 3,000 calories, your gut captures significantly less. You wonder why you cannot gain weight. The answer has been in your microbiome the entire time. In this video you will learn 5 things. First, the specific mechanism by which gut dysbiosis causes nutrient malabsorption in otherwise healthy people. Second, the bacterial balance that determines how efficiently your body extracts calories and protein from food. Third, why the standard advice to simply eat more completely misses the root problem. Fourth, how gut dysbiosis also suppresses the hormonal environment needed for muscle growth, directly connecting your gut to your testosterone and growth hormone levels. And fifth, the 5 protocol changes that rebuild gut function and restore nutrient absorption in chronically underweight individuals within 30 to 60 days. Let's start with the biology that your gym, your doctor, and every calorie-counting app completely ignores. Your small intestine is where the majority of nutrient absorption happens, and a 2024 Cedars-Sinai study published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology was the first to fully examine the small bowel microbiome in normal weight versus overweight individuals using specialized techniques. The researchers found that the small bowel was significantly and specifically altered in participants based on their weight, and that many functions related to food metabolism and nutrient absorption converge in the small bowel alongside endocrine and immune functions that influence weight. The critical finding: the microbial environment of your small intestine directly determines how efficiently you extract energy and nutrients from the food you eat. This is not a marginal effect. Research on lean individuals showed that changes in gut bacterial communities with overfeeding were associated with changes in how many calories were absorbed. Leaner individuals absorbed more calories when their gut bacteria were in a healthy, supportive state. When gut bacteria shifted, even over 2 days of dietary change, calorie absorption changed measurably. Your gut bacteria are not passive bystanders in digestion. They are active participants that determine the nutritional outcome of every meal you eat. Now here is the specific bacterial science that explains why some people cannot gain weight no matter what they eat. The ratio of firmicutes to bacteroidetes is one of the most studied variables in gut microbiome research on body weight. Firmicutes bacteria, including Ruminococcus and Lactobacillus strains, are particularly effective at breaking down complex carbohydrates, extracting short-chain fatty acids, and maximizing caloric absorption from food. Bacteroidetes bacteria tend toward lower energy extraction efficiency. In individuals with gut dysbiosis, whether from antibiotic use, ultra-processed food, chronic stress, or poor sleep, bacteroidetes often dominates and firmicutes is suppressed. When this happens, the gut becomes less efficient at extracting energy and nutrients from food. You eat the same meal as someone with a healthy firmicutes-dominant microbiome, and you absorb measurably fewer calories and nutrients from it. You are not eating too little, you are absorbing too little, and no amount of additional food fixes a broken absorption system. The November 2025 paper in Microorganisms reviewed this comprehensively. Dysbiosis disrupts the breakdown of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals into maximally absorbed nutrients. It also disrupts the production of digestive enzymes, reduces bile acid efficiency, impairs the transport mechanisms in the intestinal wall, and creates a leaky gut environment where partially digested food particles escape into the bloodstream instead of being absorbed through the normal nutrient transport pathway. Every one of these mechanisms reduces the nutritional yield of every meal you eat. Now here is the hormonal layer that makes this even more significant for people trying to build muscle. As we covered in our testosterone video, the gut directly regulates testosterone production through the testobolome, the collection of gut bacteria that metabolize testosterone. A disrupted gut does not just reduce caloric absorption, it reduces the hormonal environment that makes muscle growth possible in the first place. Lower Ruminococcus populations mean lower testosterone bioavailability. Higher gut inflammation from dysbiosis means elevated cortisol, and cortisol directly suppresses both testosterone and growth hormone. Growth hormone, which peaks during fasting and deep sleep, is responsible for directing the protein you eat toward muscle tissue repair and growth. If your gut is inflamed and your cortisol is chronically elevated, growth hormone secretion is blunted. This means that even the protein you do successfully absorb is less likely to be directed toward muscle synthesis and more likely to be used for energy or excreted. The skinny person who cannot gain weight, despite eating large amounts of protein, is often experiencing a triple gut failure: reduced caloric absorption, reduced testosterone bioavailability, and reduced growth hormone efficiency, all originating from the same disrupted gut environment. No calorie calculator addresses this. No protein supplement fixes this. The gut is the root of the entire system, and it must be addressed first. Here are the 5 protocol changes that rebuild gut function and restore nutrient absorption in chronically underweight people. Change 1. Eliminate ultra-processed food completely for 30 days and replace it with whole food sources. This is counterintuitive for someone trying to gain weight because ultra-processed food is calorie-dense. But the November 2025 research confirms that dysbiosis, driven largely by ultra-processed food, disrupts nutrient absorption at the cellular level. You may be eating 3,500 calories of ultra-processed food and absorbing the nutritional equivalent of significantly less. Switching to whole food calories, even if the total number is lower initially, dramatically improves the absorption efficiency of every calorie consumed. Within 72 hours of removing ultra-processed food, the gut microbiome begins shifting toward a more absorption-efficient bacterial community. Change 2. Add fermented foods every single day without exception. As we covered in our gut health video, fermented foods directly seed your gut with lactobacillus and bifidobacterium strains that support intestinal barrier integrity, improve digestive enzyme production, and increase the absorption efficiency of protein and minerals. A 2021 Stanford study confirmed that high fermented food intake measurably increases microbiome diversity and reduces gut inflammation within 10 weeks. For underweight individuals, the specific benefit is that improved gut barrier integrity means more of the protein you eat crosses the intestinal wall as complete amino acids, rather than being broken down or lost. Greek yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, 1 serving every single day. Change 3. Eat 30 different plant foods per week, with specific emphasis on prebiotic fiber sources. Garlic, onions, leeks, Jerusalem artichokes, asparagus, and oats are particularly high in inulin and fructooligosaccharides, the prebiotic fibers that specifically feed Ruminococcus and bifidobacterium, the bacteria most associated with efficient caloric extraction and protein absorption. Diverse plant intake builds the microbial diversity that the 2025 research confirms is essential for maximum nutrient absorption efficiency. This is not about eating salads instead of protein. It is about building the bacterial community that makes your protein and calorie intake actually land in your tissue, instead of passing through. Change 4. Add resistance training twice per week minimum. Resistance training is the most powerful anabolic demand signal available to the body. It tells every biological system, including the gut, that muscle repair is a priority. Research shows that regular resistance training measurably improves gut microbiome diversity and composition, specifically increasing the populations of bacteria associated with short-chain fatty acid production and anti-inflammatory signaling. In underweight individuals, this creates a positive feedback loop. Resistance training improves gut health. Gut health improves nutrient absorption. Improved nutrient absorption means more of the food you eat reaches the muscle tissue that needs it. 2 sessions per week of compound movements, squats, deadlifts, rows, presses, is the minimum effective dose that generates this effect. Change 5. Prioritize sleep as the primary muscle-building window. As we showed in our sleep video, growth hormone peaks during the first hours of deep sleep. For underweight individuals trying to gain muscle, this window is not optional. It is when the protein you absorb during the day gets directed toward tissue synthesis. Chronic sleep disruption elevates cortisol, suppresses growth hormone, and disrupts the gut microbiome composition that determines absorption efficiency the following day. 7 to 9 hours at a consistent time in a dark, cool room, with no food for 3 hours before sleep. This is not a wellness recommendation. For underweight people trying to gain weight, this is the biological mechanism by which protein reaches muscle tissue. Skipping this window is the equivalent of doing everything right during the day, and then undoing it every night. Here is the complete picture as of June 2026. If you are chronically underweight despite eating large amounts of food, you are almost certainly dealing with a gut absorption problem, not a calorie problem. The November 2025 research published in Microorganisms confirms that gut dysbiosis disrupts the absorption of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals simultaneously. And the research on the gut testosterone connection we covered last week confirms that the same dysbiosis is suppressing the hormonal environment that makes muscle growth possible. The solution is not to eat more of the same food that created the problem. The solution is to rebuild the gut first, through whole food, fermented food, prebiotic plant diversity, resistance training, and consistent sleep. When the gut is repaired, the same food you were already eating will finally produce the results you were never getting. If this finally explains something you have wondered about for years, hit like. Comment below how long you have been trying to gain weight and what has or has not worked. I read every single one, and the answers will shape future videos in this series. And next week I am covering the one mineral that 45% of Americans are deficient in, that directly controls protein synthesis, sleep quality, testosterone production, and gut barrier integrity simultaneously. It is the single most important missing piece for anyone trying to gain muscle, and the most overlooked supplement in fitness. Subscribe so you do not miss it.